Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shayna Jacques. I am the outreach manager for PSS of Cove Care. So I want to welcome everyone to today's webinar. Today we have with us Fiona Adams and Erin Sentis from OAT, the Older Adult Technology Services. So we're going to talk about, they are going to talk about video chat. So video chat apps are a way to connect with family and friends, which is even more important during this time of sheltering in place. They let you see the people you are chatting with on the other end of the line. In this lecture, you'll find out about some common use now or low cost video chat app. Learn about their features and explore video chat tip to so you can present your best self when on the video chat. So Fiona, she is a program lead at it's older adult technology. Let me just put my phone on silence. She leads the organization health and wellness program and manages a digital inclusion initiative, I'm sorry, in NYCHA housing development across New York City. She also served as a mother caregiver for almost 10 years. We have also Aaron Sentis. He's a program manager with OATS. OATS is stated for Older Adult Technology Services. He has managed OATS flagship center, Senior Planet, and in New York City for over 3 years. And some of you know about PSS. So we are funded since 1962 and is an initiative multi-service agency who has for mission to strengthen the capacity of older New Yorker in their family community to thrive. So PSS Live University offer educational and other program online, such as our webinar we've been having so far. And we do also have 10 local senior centers in other locations. They all designed to help older adults stay healthy, engaged, and connected. So if you want to know more about our services, please visit us online at pssusa.org for our PSS Circle of Care services, um, psscaregiver.org. We also have our coming of age where we provide services to older adult 50 plus to live with passion and purpose. And all our classes and event are listed on our website, pssusa.org/event. Fiona, if you can just now share your screen and you guys are ready to start.
Great. So I'm going to share my screen. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to share my screen, and then Aaron and I are actually also going to use our videos because we think that it's an important part of video chat and staying connected. So let me just get my screen shared, and then we will show you our faces. There's Aaron. Let me just go back to the beginning of the slide presentation here. Just give me 1 second. Aaron, do you want to go ahead and say hello while I pull this up?
Yes. Hi, my name is Aaron Santos. I was mentioned. I'm the program manager for New York City Senior Planet Center, our flagship program that's in New York City that's temporarily closed. And we've moved to a lot of virtual programs ourselves. We're doing a lot of our programming through Zoom as well in this time of sheltering in place. Hi, Fiona.
Hi. So again, hi everyone. We're so happy to be able to do this call with you and to share this information with you. Um, I know that many of you signed up, or all of you signed up for a different presentation today, but we certainly hope that you will get a lot out of what we share with you today about video chatting. Because as Shayna mentioned, we are in a very challenging time right now where we have so much physical distance between us. We're all sheltering in place, but we really stress the importance of staying connected socially, even though we may have a physical separation during this time. And we hope that all of you are staying safe and, kind of following those social distancing, guidelines that are out there, because it really is very important for us to do that in order to stay safe and healthy. But thankfully, with the use of technology, there are ways for us to really stay connected using these different video chat platforms that we'll be mentioning. And as I said, beyond just hearing a person's voice, the beauty of video chat is that you're able to see the person's face. You can see their hand movements, because I do talk a lot with my hands, and you can see a smile or a tear. So, the ability to use, hi.
Since you're talking about video chat, I just wanted to show my face too. Hi, everyone.
So the ability to connect with someone using video chat really helps. I believe, and I think all of us at OATS believe, it really helps you to really share a little more emotion and just more than you could using a telephone, which is also a great option. But so that's why we're here today. We're going to talk about video chat. We'll start with what it is, and then we'll go through a few of the different platforms that are out there, such as FaceTime, WhatsApp, Zoom, which we're all using now. We'll share a few tips for video chatting, and then we'll go through a few of the other popular apps that are out there now. So let's start with a couple of questions. Hopefully you will be able to engage with us using the chat function. If you can actually either chat, or if you have the ability to raise your hand. I wasn't sure if that's enabled, but if you can raise your hand or either chat to us to let us know if you've used video chat before today, and let's say video chat other than Zoom, because obviously we're all using Zoom, so we've all used video chat. But if you've used any other platforms, let us know. If you are, also let us know which platforms you've used and that you're most familiar with, if you have a preference for anyone over another, and also if you have family or friends abroad, because sometimes there are different platforms that are best used for international chatting versus domestic chatting. So we'd love to hear from you. If you can chat with us and let us know your experience with video chatting.
We do have someone that wants to say something, but I'm still trying to unmute.
Oh, we love that even more. We love to hear voices.
Yeah, just to piggyback off what Fiona was saying, we wanted to show our faces because in this time of social distancing, I think it is really important to use the chat feature to see who is talking and who's speaking to you. So we wanted to make sure that we had that feature, and we're doing the best that we can in this shelter in place, that we're staying socially connected through these platforms.
So anyone, what platforms have you used other than Zoom? Do you have a preference? This is going to be a pretty interactive lecture or conversation. We don't want to be here just talking at you. We would love for this to be an exchange.
All right, Erica, so you can just unmute. Yeah, here you go. You can say something.
Oh, yeah, we're currently using Skype and Zoom with our residents, our older adults, to connect with families. I've also used FaceTime, which I prefer, but Apple products tend to be a little pricier, so it's a little out of reach for a lot of our residents. So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else?
If you guys want to participate also, you can use the Q&A box, or the chat room has Fiona mentioned. So, and also if you want to say something, you can just wave and then we'll allow you to say something.
Okay, so we will come back to this. We hope that as we go through the presentation that you will, just share your experiences and ask any questions that you have, because we definitely want to make this a dialogue. Alrighty, so video chat. I have some notes here. So as I'm going through this, I may just reference my notes every so often, because I want to make sure that I'm sharing all the best information with you today. So as I mentioned, we're in a video chat right now. It uses audio as well as video, so that you have all the benefits that I mentioned before, of being able to see a person, maybe seeing their emotions, seeing their reactions to something that you're saying, which really heightens that sense of connection when you're talking with someone. So they work on computers, they work on tablets, on smartphones, the video chat platforms that we'll go through run across most devices. Some of them are specific to particular platforms. We'll get into that a little bit more. And the other great thing is that most of them are free, and not just free to call someone, across the street or in another state, but also across the world. So that allows you to stay in touch with people internationally at no cost, which is a great benefit. So some of them are linked to particular operating systems. So for example, FaceTime is linked to iOS, which is linked to Apple products, as you mentioned, Erica. Thank you for sharing that. And then there's WhatsApp, which can be used across all platforms. And that's actually one that we'll talk about later today. And then there's Zoom. So Zoom has become very, very popular these days, as most people are taking their programming online. And so many companies have bought Zoom packages that they can use to accommodate hundreds of people on their meetings. But there's also a free version of Zoom that anyone can access, where you can have free calls. I believe it's up to 40 minutes, and you can have a certain number of people participate on those calls. So as we are in this new time, and most of our life is going to virtual platforms, there are more and more opportunities and platforms coming up for people to take advantage of. So I was going to ask if anyone has used Skype, because that's probably one that a lot of you are familiar with. Erica, you mentioned using that as well, because I think that's one of the first platforms that many people started using and kind of brought us into this world of video chatting. So another opportunity to ask, has anyone else used Skype? If you can raise your hand or chat, or even just say it verbally to us. I'm going to keep asking along the way for some participation. Yay, we have a hand raised there. Nice, thank you. All right, so moving on, I am going to turn it over to Aaron so that he can discuss FaceTime, which is the first platform that we'll go through.
Yeah, so FaceTime is a platform that Fiona mentioned briefly that operates through the iOS system. So in order to use FaceTime video chat, you have to have an Apple product. You can have up to 31 people additional to the host being on FaceTime, but I don't know if some of you have an iPhone. 31 people on a small screen like this might be quite difficult. I have one of the newer iPhones. I have an XR. I've talked to as many as 4 people on this FaceTime, but it is difficult to see the people on the screen when you're using a smartphone. You can also use a tablet. I have a iPad Pro, which is much larger, so it would be easier to see people if you were FaceTiming on a tablet like this. But as Erica mentioned, getting Apple products are pretty expensive. So if you don't have one already and you don't have a network of people that have the iOS system or Apple products, it might not be an option for you. So if you do have an iPhone like me and do have a network of people that have Apple products, that might be an option. But Apple products can be pricey, and it is only a platform that you can talk from Apple iOS system to Apple iOS system.
Great. Thank you, Aaron. So now we'll go into WhatsApp a bit. Now I have a question, because we're all still kind of getting used to this. I am sharing my screen. Are you only seeing my presentation, or are you also seeing everything else that's on my screen right now? Because I've got a lot of things open.
We can only see your presentation and you guys' face.
Great.
Yeah, I do the same thing too. When my notes on my screen, so I do the same thing.
Alrighty, so the next platform that we will talk about is WhatsApp, which is now owned by Facebook. As I mentioned, that's a free app, and it's across all the different software platforms. So iOS, Android, Windows, because you can use it on your computer as well. It's available in 60 language, and you can get up to 256 people in a group chat. As Aaron mentioned, if you're doing it on a phone, I would imagine that would be beyond overwhelming to even have more than 5 or 6 people in a chat. But it's good to know that, if you're running a meeting or you're using a larger device, you can accommodate lots of people in a free WhatsApp group chat. You need a smartphone in order to create an account because it is linked to your phone number, but then you can also install it on your computer once you have a smartphone. Similar to FaceTime, you can only chat with other WhatsApp users, and this will hold true across all of the platforms where you have to be using a similar, whether it's WhatsApp or FaceTime or Zoom, you can't really integrate the different platforms to chat. So you just really want to make sure that your friends are on the same platform that you're on so that you can connect. And end-to-end encryption means that anything that you chat or any of your calls, they won't be stored on the WhatsApp server. So that is just a level of privacy that is enabled there so that you can feel a little more comfortable as you may be having sensitive conversations or, just sharing information that you wouldn't want the company to have. So I want to read you a few statistics about WhatsApp, just to give you a sense of how many people are using it. So as of 2019, there were 1.5 billion monthly active subscribers worldwide. In the US, there were 68 million users. And as I mentioned, it's available in 60 languages. You can have up to 256 people. And just as a reminder, you do need to have a smartphone in order to create a WhatsApp account. This is one that I personally use all the time. And I work, as Shana mentioned, in some of the NYCHA housing developments across New York City to deliver our technology training. And I have found that quite a few of the seniors also use WhatsApp. So it's user friendly. And because many of them have migrated here from other countries, they're able to stay in touch with their family and friends in their home countries. And so it's definitely one that I would recommend for an older adult. So let's move on to the next platform, which again, some of you are familiar with, but Aaron will talk through a few more points.
Yes, well, we're on Zoom right now, so a lot of you should be familiar with getting onto Zoom. At OATS for Senior Planet, we're doing a lot of our programming now on Zoom as well. Zoom is a video chat that you could use with any of the systems, iOS, Android, and Windows. It's something that needs to be downloaded. And you don't need a Zoom account, which is interesting, and is one of the reasons why OATS decided to use it for our programming is that we have an OATS account, you can share the link and anyone can join. I don't know who's joining the call right now, if you joined without an account or if you do have an account, but you don't need one. So it is becoming very popular. And like Fiona mentioned earlier, Zoom is a platform that you can use for free for one-on-one up to 40 minutes. So there is a free option, but there are limitations. So the more you want to use Zoom, and if you want to control a room or be a host of a room, you would need a account if you want to go longer than that 40 minutes and do longer than one-on-one. Zoom has different pricings. I know that there is a $14.99 a month account for a personal use, and you can have be a host and set up meetings. In terms of doing programs, and if you wanted to do more virtual programs via Zoom, you'd probably need a business account. They have a business account and for $19.99 a month, and that can have up to 300 people in a Zoom room. And then if you want to go even further, there's another option where you have to have a minimum of 50 hosts be on the account, and then you can have up to 1,000 people that can be in a Zoom room for programs. So there is a lot of different options, but as you start running Zoom rooms, it's really important to talk about some privacy and security. So Zoom has created something called the white page, and you can visit on Zoom's account on zoom.usa in security, and list a bunch of tips and helpful tips for running a Zoom room. If you're making something public, you want to make sure there's precautions. They have something called a waiting room, and that people cannot just join into the room. So you're kind of vetting people before that they come into the room. I don't know if a lot of people have read or heard that some people have been hacking public rooms and have been just disrupting the rooms. So I think it's really important, if you're going to do a larger room with Zoom, that you really read through that white page on the zoom.usa security and read through all of the precautions that you can take and all the features that they have to make sure that you're protecting the room.
Great, thank you, Aaron. Yeah, the situation right now with the hacking is definitely a serious one, and please do make sure that you are taking precautions. Shayna, I'm sure that you all are doing that here with your Zoom meetings.
Yes, we definitely have to because a lot of our caregiver are participating on our meetings and presentations, so we're definitely taking all the precautions.
Yeah. So, using video chat, just a little bit of a recap before we go into some of the other platforms. So, some of the benefits, as I mentioned, when you're connected to Wi-Fi, there is no charge to use video chat. It's really a great way to keep in touch with family and friends, particularly if you're traveling internationally. But again, these days, whether you can't even travel outside of your home safely, or at least it's not recommended to travel outside too much. So it's a great way to stay connected while we are sheltering in place, but not social distancing. I really like to stress that we are keeping physical distance, but we really want to maintain social connection. And so these video chats are a great way to do that. As I mentioned, you can't video chat across apps, but like many of us use many different apps. So I use WhatsApp, I use FaceTime, I am using Zoom now. And I have to tell you that prior to all of this, I wasn't a big video chat person because, if I'm at home, I'm usually looking really crazy and just completely relaxing. And so I would often decline FaceTime calls that I would get. But, we have a new normal now. And so I have grown a lot more accustomed to video chatting. I'm still figuring out lighting and all these different things that we'll talk about a little bit later in the presentation, but it's really grown on me. It's really helped me to continue feeling like I'm not alone, though I am, a person who lives alone and I'm not able to go out as much as I used to, but I still do feel like I have company because of the video chat that I've been able to do with colleagues and friends. So, great way to save money, great way to stay connected. Yeah. So, I think we've kind of gone through some of the benefits. And so now let's talk about some tips. What are the best ways? What are some of the things that we need to think about as we're video chatting? And as I mentioned, this is new to me. I am now embracing this a lot more. And so I'm still figuring out things like the camera position. I have this thing where I'm like, oh, I don't want my neck to look to look fat as I'm on these calls, and so I play around with the camera positioning to make sure that that it's a flattering view. So generally, you want to keep the camera at eye height so that you're not kind of looking down at folks like this, or you're not looking up. So you just want to make sure that your camera is generally going to be at eye height. Your lighting, you need to make sure that you don't have lighting that is too bright or too light. You need to make sure that it's natural lighting. And I can also say that if you have any coloring in your skin, that's also something to really pay attention to, because sometimes it's harder to see your features if the lighting is not so great. Eye contact, it's important. I'm reading my notes, so I'm kind of gazing off the screen sometimes, but if you're having a more personal one-on-one conversation, you really do want to maintain eye contact. And I'll actually have Aaron take over from here and go through some of these
Yes.
tips.
Thanks, Fiona. And then a couple of other things that are very important. And I want to point out that a lot of us are sheltering in place. So we're at home. So we're in our apartments. So if you're showing your screen, you're going to be showing, your own space. I live in a studio apartment. So even though I'm very aware of all of these tips, sometimes it's hard to follow because I only have windows on one side of my apartment, so lighting might be affected in certain parts of the day. I know a lot of people are, when they're joining calls, they are having a business outfit at top and maybe wearing some comfortable pants at the bottom. Just keep in mind when you are video chatting and if you're wearing a nice top and you're wearing pajamas, when you get up and you move, the camera can still see your movements. So just be mindful of that. If you're wearing busy patterns, It could also affect how your screen is picking up and how you're being viewed. Also, it's really important when you're having calls and there's multiple people on the line, noise factors. So you notice that when I'm not talking and Fiona is speaking, I make sure to mute myself just to make sure that there's no background noise coming from my end in my audio to take away from Fiona's mic when she's speaking. So when you're running our Zoom rooms, and this is why right now everyone else is muted, so you could hear the presenter, and then we wait to questions at the end, because all of the mics from all the computers can really disrupt can really disrupt the meeting. Also, hand gestures. Fiona said that she likes to talk with her hands. I like to talk with my hands as well. But it's something to be mindful of when you're making too many hand motions. Sometimes there could be trouble and there with your internet, and you can freeze. I know a lot of different platforms have a tendency to freeze, and you don't want to be frozen like this with your face covered, and this is what all people see. So you make sure that your face is clear and that you're not using too many hand gestures, because you don't want to be stuck in an awkward position. So that's about some of the helpful tips that I have for now.
Yeah, there's actually, so the one that I skipped over here is just rehearsing. You know, I actually did turn on the camera and set up I'm using my hands. I'm going to try to sit on my hands. So I did set up my space and turn on the light and just kind of took a look at how you would see me so that I would have an understanding of what your experience would be during the call. So, you know, if you're just going to be calling a friend, you probably don't need to do that much. But if you do need to use video chatting for any more of a professional reason, then it's definitely a great idea to rehearse. So let's move on to some of the other popular apps. How about you take us through that, Aaron?
Yeah, so some popular apps, Skype, as Fiona mentioned, is something that's really popular because it was something that really started this revolution of chatting online and video chat. So it's one of the older systems, but just to keep in mind, if you are using Skype, you do need a Skype username in order to join. So unlike Zoom, you can't just send someone the link and then they can download something that they can join. You actually have to have a username with Skype in order to use the platform. So they have to, but it can be used from Android and iOS. So you can use it from both systems. You just have to sign up for an account prior. Google Hangouts is another good option. Google Hangouts, you don't need an account. All you need is a Gmail account. So if you do have a Google account and you have other friends that have Google accounts, you can send a link to them through a calendar invite, or just send a link that they can join. It's free, and you can have up to 9 people on a Google Hangout video chat. So it is a little similar to Zoom, but you don't have to download something. You just need that Gmail account. So if you don't have a Gmail account, so it might not be the best option for you.
Aaron, somebody wants to say something. Do you want to
Sure.
get? Okay, 1 second. George, you can say something now. Just unmute your mic. George? Yes.
Thank you. I have been working on different calls with my friends, and I was told that Skype does now allow non-users to respond to an invitation from somebody who has an account. So I think they have an invitation system similar to what Zoom has, so that you can use it for free.
George, thank you for that. I mean, that's a new feature that I'm not aware of. I have not used Skype myself in quite some time. So I know that traditionally in the past, you did need the username, but if they did come up with a new feature, that's nice to know. And thank you for sharing that with the group. So a couple other things, platforms that I did want to mention is GoToMeeting. GoToMeeting is another platform. I'm not too familiar with GoToMeeting. I know that a lot of organizations use them for their internal meetings. It's very similar to Zoom, but you do need to have an account as well, and you do have to pay for that as well. But I know that a lot of businesses tend to use GoToMeeting for business meetings. Also, Facebook Messenger is another popular app. You do need to have a Facebook account, and you can only talk to other people with Facebook profiles. So it's Facebook to Facebook. They have a chat feature, and they also do have a video call feature that you can use. And lastly, what we wanted to talk about was WeChat. WeChat is a very popular app that is used in China. There in January 2020, there was over 1.1 million people in Asia using WeChat. So it's something that's very similar to WhatsApp, but it's just very popular in Asia and it's not as popular here. One other app that's not on here that I did want to mention that is a fun app that I've been using with friends for social interaction is House Party. House Party is an app that you can download on your smartphone, and it's very similar to FaceTime, but you don't need to have an iOS system. But the difference between that and the social interaction and why I've been using it on a personal level is that they have games as well. So you can have play Draw Something on there, you can play Heads Up where you're guessing words, and you can have simple trivia. So it's just adding a social fun aspect to a video chat platform.
Someone asked about Cisco WebEx. Do you guys know about that? I'm not sure. I don't know about that one.
WebEx, I think, is similar to GoToMeeting because I've used that when I worked in a corporate environment. We used WebEx, so I would say that would be comparable to GoToMeeting.
I'm not sure if you have to pay for that one as well, but I know that it is more used on the corporate side and it's not used as well as for programming, because I believe you have to pay for that as well.
So I actually have a question for you, Aaron. So with House Party, you mentioned that there are games. So are the people who are in the chat can play together? That's how that works? Oh, that's awesome.
So, I mean, I also, if you are downloading this, I want you to be mindful that anyone that's in your phone contacts can join your room. So you do want to be mindful if you're having that app and you're downloading it and joining it, anyone that's in your contacts can join your room. But when you're in a room with people, you do have the option of locking the room so no friends of yours or friends of friends can join.
That's great. So we went through quite a few apps and platforms that are available to help us stay connected during this time. So again, I want to throw out a few questions. So now that we've talked about these different platforms, which ones would you say you're most likely to use? Can you think of any examples in your life where you might want to use video chat where you're not doing it now? And just share a little more. Again, if you are using them, Erica, you shared your experience. I would love to hear from others about your experience using any of these platforms. And yeah, we do other lectures as well, just like PSS does at OATS. We are doing many virtual lectures on different types of technology. So we can give you more information afterwards, but we'd love to hear a little bit more from you about what you've heard today. And thank you again, George, for giving that updated information on Skype.
Yes, thank you, George.
I am downloading House Party now. I didn't know about this app, so I think I'm gonna try it later today.
I've been using it almost every night with my friends.
This is what we wanted. We wanted people to get some, a tidbit that they can take away and actually apply in their lives. So that's awesome. Thank you, Shayna. Any other questions about any of the platforms that we talked about today? So George, your hand is still raised.
Tina, do you want to say something? You can unmute your mic.
Yes, this is Tina from PSS Manhattanville.
Hi, Tina.
Hi. I think WhatsApp, we were going to do, the coordinator, I think she's doing today an exercise in WhatsApp because we have a lot of members who are from Latin countries and they do use WhatsApp, and it's kind of easy to download to your smartphone. Mm-hmm. I do use Zoom on a personal note for church. I've been thinking about Zoom for the seniors, but I don't know how many of them really have a computer or if they or smartphone that they can actually, they're going to be able to download it and put the numbers or whatever in. But WhatsApp is kind of popular. So
Yeah.
we are thinking about using that for our exercises moving forward.
So Tina, I just wanted to add one thing about Zoom. The reason why it is becoming popular and we're using it, there also is a number line that you can call in. So even though it's not the video chat that we're showing face, that we're talking how Fiona and I want people to be able to see one another. But if someone doesn't have a smartphone, they can call into a Zoom link and they can hear the audio.
Oh, good. That's good to know. Okay. Now, how do I do? How do they get to that? How do
And
we?
Tina, I can send you the information and we can practice together and show you how to do that. Yes, you
Okay,
can.
good.
They don't have to see the video. We can just do it. They can call in and access it. Yep.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why we chose it. Also, before I forget to mention at the end, I do want to let you know that Senior Planet New York City does have a hotline. If you have some simple tech questions or you have difficulty getting on Zoom, we do have a hotline that people can call, leave a voicemail, and we are getting back to them within 24 hours. And I can give you that number now. Like I said, I just wanted to give it now before I forgot at the end of the talk. So the New York City Senior Planet hotline number is 917-936-4410. Again, it's 917-936-4410. Again, I just wanted to mention that before I forgot to.
Yeah, thank you, Erin. So, Tina, you were mentioning, and Erica, we do see that you chatted a question and we'll get to
Okay.
you. Tina, I also wanted to mention that, we work for older adults technology services, and we neglected to tell you a little bit about our organization in the beginning, but we do technology-based training for older adults, so anyone 60 and over. And we typically do in-person programming all across New York, as well as in Texas and Maryland and upstate New York. Well, I did say all across New York. And California, we're all across the country. And so our audience is specifically older adults. And we've been doing our programming online, and we've had pretty good success with older adults using Zoom. So I would say that you can give it a try and that you may have more success than you might believe.
Go ahead, Tina. You can unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I'm familiar with OATS. As a matter of fact, I was at another senior center and I helped build the lab at
Oh,
A4 Randolph. So I'm familiar with OATS, yes.
good. Thank you, Tina. And so, Erica, you mentioned that you set up a Zoom room today and there was a banner saying that the call-in line would be limited and you may have to pay. Can you tell us a little more about that? If you don't mind unmuting yourself again. So you were setting up a free account, but there was a message saying that you may need to pay for that account going forward.
Well, the Zoom room was free, but I noticed on the top it said that they've had so much traffic, obviously, because everyone is quarantined to their homes. And so many people are utilizing Zoom right now that the call-in lines, I think, were being utilized so much. And it looked like they were saying that they would be very limited in going forward with utilizing the call lines, and that they may make it a paid service. So I didn't really look into that because I don't utilize that part of Zoom, but
Yeah.
But I did notice that banner that they might take that feature away from the free service.
That's good to know.
So,
Yeah, that I haven't heard any of that quite yet, but I would love to look into that as well. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and that's why it's great to have so many different platforms as options, because as the features change among the different platforms, you can always try another that might serve your needs a little bit better. I think that's the beauty of having all of these different options that we can look to right now. What other questions do you have? Other comments?
Has anybody been using any of these platforms to run large groups? And if so, have they had success?
I usually this morning I use Hangout. This is the first time I used that one to participate in a different meeting, and I find out a lot of people are having issue with it because with Hangout you have to give access to your mic and your video. So with Zoom you have you can't just use only the voice part and don't use the video, but with Hangout you have to give access to both. So I guess a lot of people were having issue with that. So but this the next
Mm,
that's the other platform that I use, but mostly I use Zoom.
great. Looks like there was another question. Do you see another question,
Yeah,
Shane?
on the Q&A question box, if you click on it.
Yeah, it's not popping up for me for some reason. Are you able to see it, Aaron?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, Aaron, can you see it?
yeah, I can see it now. Just wanted to see if I am here in the meeting. Thank you for your Zoom today. Am I in this room?
I was trying to see if I can see her, Catherine,
Catherine?
but I don't see the name. But if you were able to type in the question, that means that you are in the room. But I didn't see her name on the list. But thank you for participating. But if you're missing anything, just let you guys know that this webinar is being recorded, so we will be posted it on our website. So if you missed it today, or if you were for some reason you have some technical difficulties, you can just go back and on our website and view it.
Yes, I see a Catherine on our list. She's raising her hand right now.
Oh, can we?
Catherine, do you have a question or a comment that you wanted to?
You can unmute yourself now.
No, I don't. I don't have a question. No. Oh, there's my name. Okay. How do I get out of here? All right. I gotta go. Uh-oh.
That's okay. I can mute you. That's okay.
All right. Thank you.
And we also have Arlene that says that she uses Zoom with her youth and GoToMeeting with staff. So she's been utilizing two different platforms.
So this is what we wanted to go over with you today. Again, I know that you signed up for a different topic, and unfortunately the presenter was not able to join today, but we certainly hope that this was helpful and that maybe you picked up a thing or two. You know, Shane, I'm excited to hear that you learned about a new app that you're going to try. And thank you, George and Erica, for sharing some updated information with us. You know, that's what Aaron and I always like these things to be interactive and for us to exchange information rather than having us just kind of talk at you. So thank you so much for your input and for joining the call with us today.
Thank you again, guys. It was very interesting, and thank you for jumping to do the this webinar for us today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you for having us.
Thank you, everyone, and please be safe. And hopefully, it's gonna end soon.
Yes.
Thank you.
Time, please stay connected. Video
Yeah.
chat.
Yes.
Bye, bye, guys.
Okay, bye.